Today's been a long day, but I finally managed to balance the aluminium and coal as well.
Nice.
It's now part of the strategic balance. But it's I've had to basically make a new map based on the Pangea Plus, which basically what it does, it creates one massive landmass, and I've reduced the mountains and choke points and stuff. And the city-states don't spawn on the tiny islands now, which means that if you get Indonesia, it's a lot better as well now. But I haven't reduced the mountains to an effect where if you're Inca, it kind of ruins the game for you. But
I was gonna say, can you? Was it possible to make it so like so many mountains couldn't like clump up in a single area? Like they had to be spaced out so much? Because that always seemed like it was the problem. Like, it was just they were clumped into one specific area, and they're all right on top of each other, creating this like huge range. But if you just like set it so that they could only be in so much proximity to another one, it'd be okay, you know?
Yeah, that's one thing I was looking to do. I haven't put the code in there for that at the moment, but
So you guys in
what I
60
have done
seconds.
is I've made if you select 3 billion, it's more like 3 billion is now. 4 billion is slightly less, and 5 billion really reduces it. And I've even put an option in there for no mountains, and if you select that, you literally get no mountains at all. So you can select no mountains from the world age part at the moment. But I was going to
fuck observatories.
yeah, who needs them? But no, I was going to put code. I was going to try and look at putting some code in there because there is some code in the strategic resource part, which basically, obviously, it looks to make sure that the tiles within 3 hex of the spawn location. So I could use that sort of thing to say if there's a mountain within X number of tiles of this one, then don't put another mountain here.
How about for coal and oil and aluminum? How about something like within 10 tiles or something instead of within 3? I don't need it all inside the area that you settle in, but it would be nice if it was within, you know, like your continent.
I don't know that you should be guaranteed aluminum per se. I just think you should have 3 coal because that specifically allows you to get to an ideology. That's why I think it's more important. No. Well,
Is it possible, Hellblazer, for you to add a couple different types of strategic balance to the menu? Like you could say strategic balance normal, strategic balance plus coal, strategic balance plus aluminum, strategic balance plus coal.
That'd be cool, and we could test it out and see how it went.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Is that a lot of work?
The only problem I have found with it is the file that I have to edit is called assigning start plots, and because it's 10,000 lines long, I don't know whether you've opened something in that mod buddy which is really long. You press delete to delete a character, and it takes 5 seconds just to delete one character. So you can imagine typing the word aluminum.
You need to develop on something a little more advanced than your toaster, man.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
No, I've got an 8-core CPU, and that's why it shot me. But what I've found is I edit it in Notepad and then just open it up in Mod Buddy just to make sure it's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could add options like that because that's one thing I actually thought of doing was giving extra options in the list, so you could you could have it as normal strategic balance plus coal and aluminium. But I like Filthy's idea as well because I could just change the radius number to 4, 5, 6 or whatever, so it spawns within a specific area around where you are.
Yeah. 10 is going to be a big number, by the way.
I'm aware of the relative progression of numbers from 9 to 10. I got it.
Oh, but Filthy, you told me you were bad at numbers. I'm kidding. Yeah, like, I think if the goal is to ensure that you have something relatively nearby, if it's not in the first ring, it's got to be, like, really close to that. It's very easy for people to forward settle into taking your stuff without you knowing.
Yeah, no, and I'm kind of okay with that. What I'm not okay with is like when you killed your neighbor, killed a city-state, expanded 15 times, and coal was revealed, and there's one node of coal settled on an island in the middle of fucking nowhere, like in Timbuktu, and your entire lands are coal-free, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do now? That's what I'm not okay with.
Yeah, I think you could probably push it out to about 7 at a maximum because it's exponential, because obviously it's 7 tiles in every direction. So, yeah, 7's probably the maximum you want to do it. Otherwise, the map might take 5 hours to load or something.
I think it's interesting if you do it like 7 tiles away or whatever. It actually makes where you're settling you'd be worried you might move farther away from it too. So like it might give more incentive to try to settle in place. or at least make you think a little bit more about staying.
Yeah, which is all right. Except that I don't overly want to prioritize settling in place, right? Because you get shitty spawns, and I think it's a good part of the strategy is deciding where you want to settle. I don't want it to be like, okay, if I move at all, I lose my horses, my coal, my iron, and my aluminum. You know.
Hey, by the way, I hear a lot of times that a lot of the problems with the early settle are just caused from not enough information, and it's fun to get information, but do you guys think that just starting you out with knowing everything within 3 tiles of your settler, meaning everything that would be in your capital if you settled in place, do you think that's a good change, a bad change?
It's really interesting.
Welcome to Brave New World?
Kind of, yeah. It's like sort of the way they do it in Brave New World, but just to give you, I think that's why they did it, by the way, to give you a little bit of a, to make that choice less punitive later on.
It's certainly an interesting idea. I mean, this, again, like, we've had this conversation, you and I, for sure. There's just so many changes being made at once, it's really hard to evaluate individual changes right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's just some things to, like, socialize and start thinking about for future potential things.
Sure.
Now, I must admit, the map generation script that I've managed to come up with does create more. I wouldn't say oval. Instead of having like snake, I've removed the snakiness to, you know, sometimes you'll get a map which is just cut off points here, there, and everywhere. There's an awful lot less of that, and you might get a map where there's like 2 massive continents connected by maybe 4 hexes, but there'll be 3 people on each main continent, so it's not like one person gets secluded behind mountains or off a choke point or anything like that anymore, and obviously stops that one person from just waiting for everybody else to kill each other while they sim city to the end of the game.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, it needs to be something like that, because currently you look at this map and go, huh, something's wrong.
This map compared to what I've played recently isn't as bad, sadly.
This map isn't bad.
There's a 1-tile choke point between you and I, Purified, between a mountain, and it's over hills. It's over 3 hills.
That's what I'm saying. That's how bad the maps that I have played recently have been.
You should have checked my side of the land.
I was talking to Baba about it earlier, and when I started modifying the maps, I thought there's a setting in it called mountains, and if you lower it, I thought, well, there'll be less mountains. So I lowered it all the way down to see what would happen, and then I actually took a screenshot of this. I started the game up, and there was a mountain on every single tile apart from the coastlines, and there was city-states just smack bang in the middle of nothing but mountains, just one tile in the middle of the mountains, all around them. It was hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Oh, Wales has been destroyed. Tank, could you kill that darn Pictish warrior there? Because it's getting on my nerves.
The other
workshop.
thing that can be done is there's 2 functions in the map script that assign starting plots thing, which basically assigns, like, there's one called major deposits and small deposits, and obviously some people might get a 3 aluminium node, some might get an 8, which obviously means the difference between 1 stealth bomber and 4 stealth bombers. And I did think you could actually normalise it by setting them all to 4, which obviously means that instead of getting an 8 or a 3, you'd get a 4 no matter what, but obviously that would just be plain old straight up balancing.
Yeah, it's really hard to make these decisions on the fly without playtesting. I don't know the answers to any of those. Like they're all good ideas looked at in some light, and it could also be disastrous in other lights, right? So.
Yeah, no, I did think that what needs to happen is I need to sort of like create this as a DLC for people to just install and then play on it a few times and see what they think of the game and how it's played out and stuff like that.
If you can add those options to the menu, I'll just include it in version 5. Like, if you can make them options that you can do with drop down in the menu, then why not add it to version 5 and people can playtest whatever ones they want?
They can do, but there's several files as well, because when I started, this was a pain in the ass, when I started trying to do the strategic balance, I was changing things and nothing was happening. And then I realised that because the Brave New World DLC was in the DLC folder, there was a new file, there was a exact same file name called assigned starting plots in there because of the Brave New World content. So I had to, it took me about 4 hours to find it and realise that's what was going on, and then I started modifying that one and it worked perfectly. So there are, I think there's 4 or 5 files that also need copying. I think they can just stay in the DLC folder, so they might just be able to go straight into the mod packs folder, and you'll just take the files from there. Because what I've done is rather than using the originals, I took the originals and renamed them with NQ at the beginning of them all. And then modified them, obviously.
Okay, well, whatever works easiest for you. If we think that it's something that, like, if you guys want it in version 5 to like test out map changes and stuff, I'm totally happy to do that. If you want to do it separately, that's totally fine as well.
I think map changes need to be like #1 priority right now.
Okay.
See, that's the other thing. You don't need to play the map either. What it does is it adds a map to the actual, like, it'll be called NQ Pangaea with tiny islands. So you just select it from the map thing, and then all the options come up underneath it and stuff like that. It's not an overall change to the game.
Nice.
So you just select that one map, and then that map. That's why I've had to select the 5 different files, because I didn't want to modify the whole game. So you can then just go off, and if you wanted to, play the normal Pangaea map as well. So
that's brilliant. I see no reason not to include that. If you want to, I don't want to like impose on you.
No, that's fine. That's the reason I was doing it. Try and help us all out, kind of thing.
Sweet.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, so then we can probably work together, Hellblazer, and get that put into. We'll figure out how it works in the DLC folder and everything. I don't know if it's just like can literally just drag and drop it, or if you need to add it to the mod buddy thing to build along with the mod, because there's a really convoluted process I have to go through to turn it into multiplayer. I'd be happy to show you. There's a tutorial online to turn those things into multiplayer.
Yeah, I saw that tutorial because I looked in some of the files, and it's got it written. It's got the actual program that's used at the top of it. But I think what I've done just means copying the files and sticking them in the DLC folder, which should obviously be quite easy to do.
Sweet. Okay, then let's just.
Awesome.
The next time I make version 5, I'll just ping you, get the files, and just plop them in.
This makes me so happy. Like the combination of skill sets coming together to make this happen, to improve this game. It's so awesome.
Do you think how much
Gearhead! Yay!
will save from people just trying to scrap or whatever?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you for the subscription, man.
Yeah, that was the kind of aim of doing it. Like I say, I just wanted more non-snaky ones. But like I say, what I did try to do was I was actually starting up with particular civs and stuff like that, Austria and Inca, and then Indonesia, and I had it so it was one landmass but without the islands, because I was just using I was modifying the Pangaea one, and I thought if you get Indonesia, you're kind of
gotta shout Gasper to be heard right now.
The Pangaea Plus one, and it worked. It worked fine, one massive landmass with tiny islands, but there's extra code in the Pangaea Plus one which puts the city-states on the islands. But there's a setting in there which says as long as the island is 2 hexes big, put a city-state on it. So I said, don't put it on an island unless the island is 8 hexes big. So what it does is the smaller islands under 8 hexes are all left clear for like players like Indonesia to go out and settle on.
Oh my god, that's gonna be so nice with Indonesia.
Gonna be so many barbs too. Is there something we can do, by the way, about caravels? Barbarian or city-state caravels? Can we just tell city-state caravels never to leave their borders ever?
I think they're trying to circumnavigate the globe.
Yeah, they need to stop doing that.
Why is that?
Because if you go to war with a player who has a city-state ally, and you're coastal, at some point in the game, a city-state caravel will show up. You know how city-states do nothing in war 99% of the time? When you have coastal, a city-state caravel will inevitably show up sometime like in the late info era. A fucking caravel that's been like up by the ice, scouting the ice for 2,000 years, shows up in your lands and starts pillaging trade routes. And it's the most annoying thing ever.
So, version 5, rename them to FilthyRobot Seeking Caravels, right?
They seek out everybody. It's just because they
so annoying.
Yep. And it's so far away. Like it will be across the globe. And since the way that naval units work, they're so fast relative to what it is, and the way the defenses work, really you don't have like choke points or fortified positions. It's inevitable to show up at some point and pillage something. And this is really, really dumb.
I mean, yeah, it's really easy to just disable caravels from city-states.
That would be perfect. It's the only unit that does it.
Did you just crush, Shimi?
No, but it's frozen.
Oh, great.
We should sit down for Strike. I mean, how many weeks has this mod been out now? 3, 4?
And
Do you
more.
mean since version 1?
Yeah.
Like almost 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
There needs to be some. I mean, granted, the stuff is changing, but we need some kind of concerted feedback about some specific features. Like, I don't know how your feelings on Honor or Piety are right now as pure openers, but I've been doing some. Every game I've been playing, I've been trying to do one of those as an opener directly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
neither of
I
them
think-
are particularly viable straight up as openers.
Right, I agree. There's so if you want, let me ping you
So
real
we're
quick
gonna
with
have a
link.
reload, or?
You're reloading, Shimi? Yeah, Shimi, you dead?
What? Dead. I told you if you would listen, that game froze.
Alright.
Did you die, Shimi?
Back then.
Alright guys, I'm gonna run ads during this. See you in 2 minutes.
Oh, yo. You falling in a space, dead.
I'm not sure what to do with Piety, but I think Piety is going to be fixed more when the religious beliefs are fixed a little bit more too, because you can basically be, if you want it, you can be guaranteed a religion with Piety, right? Like if you
Yep.
open Piety, you can, if you really want it, you can be guaranteed it. And so by changing the religious beliefs to do things like, I'm not sure exactly what, these are just ideas, but like, for example, if a Reformation belief said gain 3 settlers immediately, bam, you just gain some settlers to help you like expand, or like,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. If there were options to help compensate for the things that Piety doesn't do that the other trees do within
Yeah.
religion, then it would help.
I think that's a really good idea. Although you have to make sure there's a couple. So if someone who doesn't open Piety and gets screwed because he's one policy behind another person who's doing Piety as well, and that's the only SimCity policy basically from Reformation.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've been seeing is right now aesthetics is overpowered right now, straight up. Both Honor and Honor and Piety right now are excellent, but they're excellent as a second policy. Or a mixed policy, but they're pretty shit as a straight policy. And if you're trying to get them to be actual openers, that's kind of detrimental to your game. Right now, the best set of policies I can see are opening Liberty and then secondary policy, either Honor, Piety, or Aesthetics. And even later, like I had a game versus Poland where Poland went Aesthetics, and it's just that tree is out of control. It gives way too many policies back.
Yeah, I think it's out of control partially because there's no other trees that match it in power in that part of the game. None of the other things that used to be filler trees match it in power because they haven't been changed at all. And it might just have values that are too high, you know, like.
Well, we got to do something about Poland. It's just Poland is too.
And Korea,
strong.
both of them are really too strong right now. Both of these, because the overall social policy strength is higher, which makes Poland, which is already one of the best civs in the game, even stronger. And Korea already had a very, very strong special ability in terms of working specialists, and now that specialists are unlinked, Korea is also very, very much stronger than it was. There's no downside to working engineer slots.
Why not
Poland
just
can like
ban
double
them?
their policies by just filling out aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I played up for comparison. We played a game versus Poland. Poland had tradition, aesthetics, and rationalism finished before modern. Finished all those social features before fucking modern.
So I think that the comparative power is the same as it used to be. It's just that everyone has been boosted slightly. So I mean, why not just ban them for right now?
Well, we are banning them right now, but
Okay, perfect. But that solves the problem. I mean,
well, kind of. I mean, it solves the problem in the sense that that's the same way that prior to this mod, we were solving the problem by banning Blitz. Yes, that does solve the problem, but it's a workaround rather than a fix, right?
right. Yeah. Let's So I don't want to get into changing civs too much yet, just because I still think the actual stuff that's happening with other things in the game is affecting it. Like with the new Liberty changes that are coming out, like Rome is getting a boost, you know? Like Rome can potentially have, if you build a building needed for a national wonder in your capital and you have Liberty completed, you're going to be getting a 50% boost to production to that building everywhere else in your empire. Stuff like that, you know. And yeah, I realize some of the great civs are getting even better, and some of the civs that were ridiculous, like the Huns, are, you know, have been screwed a bit and stuff like that. But I kind of feel like, you know, a couple of civs here and there getting screwed or buffed or whatever, you know, regardless of where they fall on the spectrum, can be dealt with easily. And then just let's continue to make the changes that affect all civs before we start changing civs.
Yes.
If it becomes like super horrible, toxic, bad, then yeah, we can make a change. But I don't know if it's at that point yet, because it's pretty easy to just ban it out.
I think if you don't want to change it right away, people should just do the random fruity and just ban Poland, and then just random it that way. It's still
Korea's as bad, or almost as bad, not as bad actually.
I've just put a link in the TeamSpeak room that we're in. That's the kind of I've just taken a screenshot of one of the maps that's currently being generated by the script that I've written up. You can see that was on 5 billion, by the way. 3 billion pushes the land right out to the poles, and there's quite a few iced in places. Like you get with 3 billion now, it gets quite iced in, but this one was with 5 billion.
Oh, so the age of the continent is changing the total available landmass? I thought that was high, low, medium, sea level. I didn't realize age of the continent affected landmass at all. I thought it just affected hills versus...
No, obviously with a low sea level, what it does is it basically, in the actual game script, what it does is there's a percentage of water versus land, and a low sea level means there's more land versus water, and as you move up to 5 billion, it actually decreases the amount of land versus water.
So what exactly am I looking at here, Hellblazer?
Looking at the mountain percentage in 5 billion years.
Yeah, and if you just look at the mini map, that's the kind of land masses that the script that I'm doing generates. Instead of it being all stringy and like choke pointy, that's the kind of land masses it generates with, like, you can see the small islands off to the north.
This is 5 billion though, right?
Yeah.
So this is the the oldest is the most worn down. So this is the least amount of mountains we're going to see.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like Purify says, there's still quite a bit of grouping of the mountains where there are mountains, but that's something that I can still look into, obviously modifying once.
It's like I want mountains.
You guys want to see what I'm looking at? Have a look here.
They make it unique and, you know, sometimes different, but they could be like a good defensive position, but it shouldn't just be like impenetrable. You know,
I think what's showing on this map looks good. Like, it doesn't look like obscene mountain ranges, like, covering the entire... Like, the only one is in the upper left, and that's just, like, one line, but there's so much land in other places. It's not like it's an isolated tiny chunk behind those... It's a third of the continent behind those mountains.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. There's going to be at least 2 or 3 civs down behind them mountains, so that it's not like one person is going to be the other side of their mountains and be stuck there on their own kind of thing. There is going to be other people that, if needs be, could deal with that civilization if they started getting ahead of themselves kind of thing. And it doesn't look like it's impossible to get there from the other side either. You just have to either go through the slight centre bit or round the bottom of them.
Ugh, tired of this game. Guess I should get guilds up somewhere.
Go.
Link that's in there now is what happens when you don't get the numbers in the right order.
That's like Carthage dream map.
I think even Carthage would have trouble on that, losing 50 health points. They wouldn't be able to move across that range in one go.
Yeah, it'd take you a while to get the workers. You could build roads on mountains as Carthage.
I think a dynamite worker should be able to move through mountains and build roads in them. Just call them tunnels.
What are we doing? I don't know what we're doing. I have very little interest in seeing the end
That
of this
link
game.
is what happens if you select the no mountains option. Now, the 3 mountains you can actually see on there were the wonders. There was 3 mountain wonders in the game.
Oh wow, they become even stronger.
Tank!
The only places you can get observatories.
Oh,
Why did you-
tank.
Why did you end your turn?
What a guy.
He did it on purpose.
That's really good, Hellblazer. That looks really good.
See, I just wanted more open land masses, to be honest with you. That's what was doing my head in, was all the snaky land masses. And I did find a setting. It was called continent grain. There's a setting called continent grain in there somewhere that if you set it to 7, the Pangeas, there's just lakes and one-tile choke points absolutely everywhere. And the more you bring it down, the less that happens. So you can sort of like, you probably could put a setting in the actual drop-down setting list in there to basically say how much of that you wanted, if you wanted to customize it, that is.
That's pretty cool. So, how does this game end before the info era at max duration turns all the way through to it?
Don't look at me. I have no bloody idea.
Hey, Fruit Strike, I have a request.
What's up?
When somebody's deemed irrelevant, can you make it so that the AI is, the cities just go boom and they're just like stagnant? They're just there?
Potentially yes. Not potentially, definitely yes. But
Yeah, because
Or
that
some
fucks up the
variant
game
of that?
so much.
okay.
Well, that's the equivalent of them not kicking the player, but obviously not having the turn timer completely fill out every turn. Because that's basically what you're saying there, is because when, obviously, if Pitbox is on and you kick somebody, or sorry, you don't kick the player, then the units don't move and the cities don't produce anything. So if you could basically put it in that state after having kicked the player as well, then that would have the same effect.
Okay.
That way people that have lost the desire to play but they're still relevant can ask to be voted irrelevant.
I've had games where, like, for instance, there was a game where Tank was like completely isolated as Greece on this island, and it was just garbage land, whatever.
I remember you got
he
crushed
became
by
irrelevant.
allergies.
But I lost the game because his tourism and culture was nuts, and I focused so hard on culture and tourism, and it was incredibly high. But I got like -40 or 50 on happiness still. It was
From the
unbelievable.
tank AI?
Yes. Well, it was like 6-city Greece, and never attacked. Nothing. You couldn't even get to them. It was so bad. And then, like the end,